What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake and Dr. Ethan Turner coming back at you today, where we're going to talk about a nasty injury that happened in 2020 to one Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, a lot of you remember that injury. You were probably watching that game. You saw the foot go sideways. It was disgusting. I'd kind of forgotten about it. Well, as I open up the show notes here for this one, I realized that Ethan included a picture of it. So thank you for that, Ethan, to remind me what exactly that looked like on game day. But now we need to think about 2021 going forward, because there's a lot of offensive weapons, a lot of fantasy viable weapons for the Cowboys. But we got to talk about Dak and whether he's going to be back and ready here this year.
It's very important
that
we talk about Dak. And it's important, Jake, that you see the photo and look at it.
I see it. I'm looking at it right now. It's sideways.
Recognize that this is serious. And so that, because I think sometimes we forget. I think sometimes, we get to the off season and we see the videos of him getting ready, and we forget like what this dude has gone through to get himself to that point.
Yeah, it's gross. It's gross.
I just don't want you to forget, Jake.
So do you want to reiterate what it was?
I do. I like watching you squirm and being disgusted.
Yep.
And that's what I bring to the channel in your life, Jake.
True. Facts.
This is my place on earth, to make Jake uncomfortable.
It happens a lot.
It's very important to me. So let's talk about Dak.
Okay, do that. Spit us some knowledge, oh wise one.
Well, let's take it back to where it all began. Back in the day, week 5 against the Giants, October 11th. Dak is on an absolute tear to start the season. We got people talking about him.
MVP caliber.
What?
MVP caliber.
Yes, we're talking legit. Like top 2 dynasty quarterback. Legit. Okay? Dak is doing one of his Dak things. He's just absolutely shredding the Giants. They're terrible. And he takes off to run and gets tackled from behind. And his foot goes totally the wrong direction.
Not supposed to go.
What happened was he gets tackled from behind. His foot turns out. And the guy lands on top of it. And it basically just completely dislocates his ankle. Compound fracture in his ankle. And he's sitting there, and I just remember everyone just collectively just going, oh, that is not good. You didn't have to be a doctor to look at that and watch his helpless ankle dangle in front of him and know that, like, yeah, that's not going to work out very well for us in fantasy. And so Dak did have surgery to repair his ankle, or what was left of it. And typically you're looking at about a 6-month recovery for something like this. It has happened before. OBJ had this happen to him. I mean, it's pretty serious stuff, but it's not what I would call an uncommon football injury. I mean, this happens often. Guys get tackled from behind and their feet get rolled up under them and they dislocate their ankles. So what are we going to do about this? So for fantasy, I think Dak will be okay. Actually,
I don't know if I buy that, because are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. So personally, I'm buying Dak this offseason, especially in Dynasty, and I might even buy him in redraft leagues when it comes draft season, just because I think you're going to get a pretty good discount. It's not like the offense really changed much around him. Like, his offensive line is not quite as strong as it was 2 or 3 years ago. But he still has Zeke. He still has 3 of the best wide receivers in the league. And I think that he's going to be looking to use that offense and just basically start immediately producing for fantasy again. I know it was a major injury, but it did happen in week 5. So by week 1, you're looking at almost 11 months of recovery for an injury that, on average takes about 6 months to fully recover from. And so I think now is the time to really get an injury discount for Dak.
I totally get it. And everything that we see so far, I mean, we don't see a whole lot of, intense workouts from Dak, but we're starting to see videos surface of him moving around. And it's good to see that he's upright again, because, I mean, it was so nasty. But the part that I struggle with the most, and I know you're going to touch on this probably as well, is I get it that he may be physically good. His ankle may be attached, but when he takes that 5-7 step drop and he plants that foot, is he going to be the same? Like, does he trust it? That's going to be the biggest thing. Is there like a percent of this, like, because it's happened now, it's more likely to happen again, like with other injuries, or is this something that once it's healed, he should be good to go, and unless something crazy happens again, he should be all right?
So one of the things that you notice when we're talking about this, it was a dislocation, which is more ligament related. And then the fracture is obviously his bone. The fracture is going to heal really, really well. When our bones heal, I mean, they're not stronger than they were before, but they're as strong as they are. Bone heals back as bone.
Drink milk.
And so from a strength perspective, with a full year of rehab, I would expect his ankle to be pretty close to 100% by the start of the year from a strength perspective. Stability is the one thing that you're most concerned about, long-term stability, which is those ligaments, again, all the ones that got ripped in shreds as his ankle dislocated. And Dak actually went through and had a second surgery in December. It was not reported a whole lot. What that surgery did was that they actually went into the inside of his ankle and strengthened up the deltoid ligament. And so what that does is it tightens it, and it makes it more stable than maybe it was before. It's not uncommon with an injury like this that's major, that is I won't say life-threatening, but I mean it requires immediate surgery. It's not uncommon for them to leave a few things unfixed to start, where they actually go in, fix everything that's like they have to stabilize it right away, and then they wait until that risk for infection goes down. And then they go back in and actually tighten up everything else. So Dak has had that second surgery to tighten up that ligament in his ankle and clean out the any scar tissue or anything that is floaters or anything else that's left over from that first surgery. And so that actually gives me a little bit of hope that maybe his ankle is going to be more stable than someone that maybe say doesn't get that second surgery. And because of that, I think physically his ankle will be ready to go. Now, the real question, I think, is does a major injury impact the way that Dak plays? And if it does, what does that mean for his fantasy value? So the biggest concern that I have is he got hurt while he was running outside of the pocket, running for a first down. We know that one of the more underrated aspects of Dak's game is the fact that he is pretty mobile as a quarterback, and he can get you, not crazy rushing numbers, not Lamar Jackson or anything, but he can get you a solid rushing floor of 2 to 3 points. He can rush for 30 yards in a game, even 40 or 50 if he breaks one off. And so does he hesitate now? Does he play differently now that he's had a major injury to his ankle? And there's no way for us to know that from we're talking sports psychology here. I'm not a sports psychologist, but I can tell you that people that I treat that have a major injury think differently afterwards. They react differently. We see it all the time with athletes. We see it all the time with NFL players. After they have a major injury, how do they mentally recover from that? Not every athlete does that the same way. With Dak, something major, traumatic like this, he's looking at his ankle, it's twisted the wrong way. That could have a major mental impact on how he approaches the game. And does that affect his floor for fantasy? Yeah, I think it absolutely could. Can we predict that? No, I don't think we really can. So to me, I think it's kind of a wash. I think physically, he's going to be ready to start the season. I think mentally, emotionally, that's where the question marks still lie. And does it change how he plays? Does he rush less? Does he maybe throw, to avoid getting hit more quickly? Does he not stay in the pocket as long, because he is worried about, maybe potentially injuring his ankle? We don't know until we see him play, but from what I've seen in his recovery, he's on track at least to be ready. They're actually expecting him to be able to take some full reps in spring training. And that is a good sign for fantasy players.
Yep. I mean, one thing that you said here just a few moments ago that I really clung on to, and I honestly didn't think about anything else while you completed your sentences and talking there. You call them floaters. And as a dad, the first thing I think about is floaters are like something that the kids leave in their water bottles after they just backwash into it. So are floaters like little bone fragments or something that have been left behind? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it basically is. So, it could be bone, it could be scar tissue that's broken off. Scar tissue sets immediately, and then once you start moving it, it will actually form into the way that it's supposed to be, supposed to lay down. Occasionally, you'll have a piece that will kind of float off there. It could be cartilage from the initial injury. There's all sorts of things that could be considered floaters.
Floaters.
But it's basically just anything that's just kind of like floating around in there that could be causing irritation. A lot of times you'll see it in knees where a guy has a bone chip or something that's floating around in the knee. They'll have a surgery. They'll go in, they'll clean all that out. And then all of a sudden they're like perfectly healthy again. And so it's not like he had a major second surgery, but he did have a second surgery. And part of it was to address potentially
Floaters.
some of those types of issues.
Okay, cool. I wanted to clarify because the inner dad in me was like floaters. I know exactly what those are, but I just wanted to make sure
it looks like that when you actually like get in there. That's kind of what it looks like.
Well,
so yeah, sure.
Perfect. But see, I could be a doctor. I got this. I totally got this terminology. Nah, not so much. Okay, anyway. Well, we wanted to make sure we put this video out because a lot of people ask questions about Dak. Ethan mentioned it earlier. This guy was on an MVP caliber tear in 2020, and people are going to want a piece of that if he's good to go in 2021, but we could get him at that discount price we mentioned, so that is definitely something to pay attention to. Over the next few weeks, the next few months, Dak is somebody who we'll probably talk about again and that you really need to pay close attention to because he is somebody that if you can get it at that discount price, Ethan, if he comes back 100%, could help win you a fantasy football championship here in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you think about it, I know I am. I'm always a late quarterback guy. I want to wait until the end of the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th if I can to get a quarterback because there's so many. If you get a discounted Dak Prescott, you can sign me up for that all day long. But if you have questions about Dak, do us a favor. Make sure you leave a comment down below here on the video, and we'll try to do our best to get back to you here and answer any questions you may have. It's a complex injury. It's a disgusting injury, but it sounds like he may be on the up and up, and we'll be able to utilize him here in 2021. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit the little notification bell too. That way you'll know every time a new video drops because we're dropping like 5 a week. You don't want to miss out. You want to be prepped and ready to go here for 2021. But for myself and the doc, we greatly appreciate you, and we will talk to you later.